Okay, fourth graders, today is Monday, October 28th, and as you can see, we're combining two lessons because they're very related. We're going to do Eureka Module 3, Lesson 7 and Lesson 8 together. Okay, so we're going to cover two lessons today, so take really good math notes, you can do it. Today, the whole point is we are going to learn how to use place value discs. We know what that means. That means circles on a place value chart in order to represent multiplication. Okay? Okay, today we are going to, as the learning goal said, represent multiplication using place value discs. Okay, and sometimes we might need to regroup. Okay, so first set yourself up with a nice big place value chart because we're going to draw discs inside of it. For this one, you will need a ones place, a tens place, and a hundreds place. You can, and then go ahead and copy down the problem, 2 times 23. You can see the question's asking us to make 2 copies of 23. Do you guys agree? 2 times 23 is 2 copies of 23. Okay, so in my place value chart, how could I show 23? I need 2 discs in the tens and 3 discs in the ones. Do you guys agree? Yeah. Okay, now I need to make 2 copies of that, which means I need to make 2 copies of 2 tens, which would be like that. And also using the distributive property, I also have to make 2 copies of 3 ones. Do you guys agree? Okay. So looking at my place value chart, then what's 2 copies of 23? How many tens do I have altogether now? 4. And how many ones do I have altogether? So what's 2 copies of 23? 46. Very good. Now, next to your place value chart, I want you to write 23 times 2 vertically like I did up there. Okay. We are not doing the standard algorithm today. What we're going to do is called the partial products way. Everyone say partial products. When I say partial products, it has the word partial. When I write the word partial, do you see any other words that you know there? What words do you guys see? Do you guys see the word part? Partial means only part of it. So we're going to break it up into 2 parts of the product before we find the whole product. Okay? So when we did this, we had to do 23 times 2 ones. Right? What was 23 times 2 ones? Huh? 6. Okay, good. 6 was equal to 2 times 3 ones. Then we also had to do 2 copies of 2 tens. What was 2 copies of 2 tens? 4 tens, or how do I write that in standard form? 40. Okay, so using the partial products way, we got, how many partial products did we get? 2. We had 2 copies of 3 ones, which was this, 2 copies of 3 ones. And then we had to do 2 copies of 2 tens. Let me switch the colors. 2 copies of 3 ones was in red over here. And then we made 2 copies of 2 tens over here, which was 40. Well, each of those products is only part of the total product. So in order to find the whole product, we have to add up the partial products. What's 40 plus 6? 46. This is not the standard algorithm way. This is called the partial products way. Okay? What would be the first partial product? We had 4 ones times 2. Yes? Which is? 8. So let's go ahead and show that on our place value chart. We have 4 ones times 2, which is 8. Okay, what would be our next partial product? We're done with the ones, so what place value are we moving to next? Tens. How many tens do we have to start out with? 2. And how many copies of it do we need to make? 2. So we're doing 4 tens times 2, which is 4 tens, or 40. So let's record that in our partial products way. Our next place value position is the hundreds. How many hundreds do we have? Everyone? 3. And we have to make how many copies of it?
2.
So how many hundreds do we have altogether?
6.
How do I write that in standard form? 600. Let's record that third partial product. How do I find the total product if I have 3 partial products? I add them all up, right? So what's 8 plus 40 plus 600? 648. Let's look at our place value chart. How many hundreds do we have?
6.
How many tens do we have?
4.
How many ones do we have?
8.
8. So again, we can see that when we do the partial products way, we're just doing we're showing with numbers each part of the place value chart. We're doing 2 copies of 4 ones is 8, right? 2 copies of 4 ones is 8. We're doing 2 copies of 2 tens is 40. 2 copies of 2 tens is 40. And then we're doing 2 copies of 300 is 600. 2 copies of 300 is 600. When we add them all up, we get our total product. When we add them all up, we get our total product. Okay, so one's using discs and pictures to represent it, and one side is using numbers. Make sense? Good. To sum it up, today we learned 2 different methods for multiplying numbers. What do we call this one on the left? Partial products, which is modeled using the place value chart and place value discs. Very good.